they're not friends. He's been, in fact, he calls him also a threat, and he mentions January 6th, and so he does that again.
Right.
But the whole point is he's picking one of them that goes after the First Amendment, and he believes that takes precedence. So in his opinion, Biden is a threat to the First Amendment. So not only do you have the open border crisis on one end of the ballgame, massive inflation, but now you have First Threat Amendments and a president who is weaponizing federal agencies. Yet they're calling Republicans the fascists. That's the best part.
And RFK brings up an interesting point during this interview is when he also says that he has been denied Secret Service protection detail, being a major candidate. He's been allowed on, I believe, like 6 to 8 more states on the ballot where he is at. And this is a direct threat to the Democrat Party votes, because he'll pull more from Democrats than he will actually from Republicans from his leanings. And so the Democrats are worried about an RFK dark horse within. It reminds me a little bit of the dynamic that we had back in the 1992 election with Bill Clinton, Ross Perot, and George W. Bush. Ross Perot was more of a Republican candidate, right? He was more of that Republican. He could have been the Republican candidate.
He had conservative roots. Yeah.
Right. And so it gave a choice to Republicans who they really wanted for president between Bush and Perot. It wasn't so much Democrat. Democrats weren't going to vote for Perot as much as they were going to vote for Bill Clinton. And so we have this strange dynamic kind of reinventing itself here in 2024 with RFK, who leans more left than Donald Trump does. So leaning more left, he potentially will pull more of those leftist votes from the Democrat Party, and they're going to need every vote they can get.
He gained a lot of momentum with anti-vaxxers who were left of moderate, which, by the way, is a bigger crowd than I thought it was. I had no idea that there were as many. There were so many. I won't probably say as many, but there were a lot of anti-vaxxers left of moderate that are just very, very open about how unwilling they are to accept any kind of jab from the federal government. But he really got a lot of them to rally around him. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes across if he's there in Pennsylvania and Arizona and some of these other swing states, if it's enough to pull some of Biden's percentage, because you don't have the equivalent in the Trump side of things.
No, because he's also a climate dude. He's one of those guys it's all about the climate, and he's also very not anti-gun, but gun where restrictions, right? He wants to add more restrictions to your Second Amendment. So he fits in that Democrat zone of people that are maybe not wanting a Biden. They don't want to vote for Biden because they know what he's done to the country. Maybe it doesn't represent some of those views very well. Where RFK, on the other hand, his VP that he announced is very big into the climate. That's like her thing.
I'd never heard of her.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I had no idea who she was.
Yeah, she's a rich lady who has given lots of money to the climate crowds. So those individuals, I believe, will pull more from the Democrat pool than will pull from the Trump pool or Republican pool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. He'll be an interesting change-up. It's interesting you mentioned Ross Perot too. Do you remember when Ross Perot got absolutely dragged over the coals because his whole plan was just to add a couple pennies per gallon to get like a gas tax? Yeah, that was like his big let's get out of the debt. This was the national debt he was referring to.
There were two things that sunk him. That was one of them. The other thing was
they're like
when he referred to a group of black voters as "you people" was the big thing that the media ran with to paint him as a racist back in that 1992 election.
That's where we get the joke. What do you mean? What do you mean, you people? I mean, that was first said at Ross Perot, which, it didn't help Ross Perot that came across like this, talks real fast, like that didn't help that he already had like a lot of that running against him. And I mean, I'm not a Bill Clinton fan. You would actually see a lot more moderates the way Bill Clinton had ran his campaign. You'd actually probably see Ross Perot looking like a lot of conservatives these days. So it's interesting to see in 30 years how much has changed, but you weren't going to beat Bill Clinton. Certainly George Bush Sr. wasn't on the debate floor and in a public speaking manner. He just probably one of the greatest orators of all time. We'll leave that there.
My mom actually voted for Ross Perot. I remember she loved Ross Perot. And she voted for Ross Perot. And
Yeah.
she didn't like Bush, and she really didn't like Clinton, but she really loved Ross Perot, and she
Yep.
voted for that guy. So
I like Dana Carvey's Ross Perot. I like Dana Carvey's Ross Perot more than I did Ross Perot.
Can we get Dana Carvey to run Ross Perot?
I would vote for him probably at that point.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. I had this other this happened yesterday, last night. And for you guys who are watching the NCAA tournaments, the Final Four, the women's tournament, and then the men's tournament, there was a lot of controversy that happened last night with the playing of the national anthem. And there's a little bit more to the story, but we'll go ahead and kind of break it down for you guys real quick. Let me go ahead and pull that story up. I had it. Just had it. Where did I put it?